So let's first see that I can see myself. Yep. Looks like there's something at least in there. And then let me do the link. There. Now there's the link to the blog post with the links to products I'm using. So hello, good evening. Let me try to, yeah, now it's a little bit better. I can see the screen at the same time. So doing this card today with similar products than the art journal I did in some weeks ago, I think it was. So then I used just a teeny tiny bit of the watercolor pencils, but now a little bit more, but the same stamp set. I thought it would be funny to use the same thing twice. So let's wait a little bit more and then get started. Hey Heidi. Hopefully, hey Asta. Hopefully you can see and hear me okay. And just let's wait a minute still. Moikka Päivi! Koska nyt on niin monta suomenkielistä, niin helpotetaan sen verran suomea, että pääasiallisesti höpötän englantia, mutta kuten aina, niin ei muuta kuin kysymykset suomeksi, vaan kumpikin kieli käy vastaan sitten kahdella kielellä. So mainly talking in English today, but just said that if there's Finnish viewers, they can ask questions in Finnish as well, and I then answer in both languages. So good evening or day or night, morning, depending where you are. Let's get started with the card. So it's quite simple one. A couple of techniques with the watercolor pencils and crayons. But yeah, as you can see, I made something ready already. So I made the card base and also the bottom layer because there's stitching. Like I used a sewing machine to combine the two layers together, and well, I can't do that here because my machine would be high and you couldn't see anything. So these are just a kind of purple cardstock, and then, sorry about the noise, this one, Backdrops Volume 5. So one sheet from there, and it goes to both of the cards, and a little bit is left over, so I get the two out of that one. Of course you could use anything, but just I used that one from this set. That one there because we don't need that anymore. And then let's bring in these. I also cut these out. So these are from a 12 by 12 sheet that these are cut from, and it's an AB Studio sheet of flowers and a pennon on the other side, but I'm using these. Of course you could use stamped flowers as well, but I thought that it would make fun little detail. So let's first add a layer here and here, and for that I'm using distress inks and gray tones. Yeah, I know, maybe a little bit, maybe not scary, but interesting choice, as this is so pink. So I'm just pushing the ink pad to my stamping block, acrylic, then wet it and drag these through. So it's first layer just a little bit of gray tones to the flowers, breaking that white surface. Heipä hei Johanna, hei Leena. Iltaa. Kuulosti jo melkein joltain lottoarvonnalta. And then I'm using the rest to the card base. Like that, just a teeny tiny touch of gray there. This is kind of a, well, maybe that's a basic technique, but still something to get you started. Then let's do a raised layer here so it can dry. So you might see this one here. Not that visible after all the layers, but it's there. So it's just modeling paste through a stencil. That's this one, a Gothic is this name. Let me move these a little bit to the side, so hopefully I don't get... And I really like this bigger number, so I usually use that one. So let's put that one there, and then... Okay, I just used this one today. Okay, now. What you could do, as we are using the watercolor pencils, you could color this one with the watercolor pencils by just using a piece of plastic, kind of rubbing the color to the plastic from the crayon first and then putting this one on top. So that's a way to kind of tint the paste, because it has the white pigment, so it's going to be a tint. But just something you could try. For example, here you could use those green tones, but I wanted to keep it just white, to give it a little bit light there. So just applying some paste through the, through the stencil. Let's close the jar. And then I have a bucket of water underneath the table, so I'm putting it there to be cleaned after the live. And now this one goes someplace to dry for a while we work with the flowers and make the butterfly. Just let me know if you have any questions so far. So let's use this one as kind of a palette. Let me see if I can get anything through here. No, let's do this. This one is so much faster. Using a wet brush over the pencil. So I'll get more juicy color that way. And as you can see from this sample card here, I'm not paying too much attention, let's say, how I color. So they are going to be a little bit splodgy, not like perfectly colored. I'm going to use another color as well. Moi Nina! But as there's the kind of harsh black line, so I get away, at least I think I get away, to make my eye this looks okay. And it's the same thing, just kind of splashing the color on, not like a small brush and very delicate strokes. It's just getting some color and slapping it in a way. So they are going to be a little bit like watercolor flowers in that sense. This one is set number 1 that I'm using. The pink one is called Picked Raspberry. And then a little bit of another tone. Sorry about that noise, it's probably the medical helicopter going to the hospital. So, another color. And letting them mix. This one is quite heavy cardstock, these AB Studio papers, so they will hold this amount of water. But if you would stamp these, like use for example a Tim Holtz stamp or another flower stamp, then use a sturdy enough paper to hold the amount of water you are then using for coloring. They are a little bit darker this time, but it's okay. Let me move those there. Then we need, maybe while those are a little bit going to dry, I'm trying to avoid using the heat tool. Moikka moi Marika! So let's add a little bit of the crayon. No, sorry, pencil. Oh, there's actually one flower missing all the color. How silly of me. Oh, and on one little bud as well. Luckily, that's easily taken care of. Just a couple of touches with the color. Like so. Hi Marina! No worries. I'm just kind of starting playing with the pencils and colors. These are AB Studio flowers that I'm coloring using the Distress watercolor pencils and a crayon soon. I'm first adding some pencil there. Moikka moi Heidi! And then crayon. Don't get alarmed, I'm going to say a couple of words in Finnish. Heidi, jos sinulta näitä löytyy, niin ei muuta kuin pistä linkkejä vaan. So these I used a wet brush, so it's more like a watercolor look, but with these I'm just mixing the two colors with my finger. So the look is going to be totally different. These are more like pastel, and I mean pastel crayons, not like a pastel color looking than the watercolor. So just an idea, kind of using the same product. Well, there's the creamier crayon in these as well, but another way of spreading the colorant, and it affects the look immediately. So totally different look. The color is Rustic Wilderness, in case you want to know, but they are all in the blog post then, with links to manufacturer sites. Then let's clean a little bit of the colors there. And now I need to use the heat tool because I'm adding some white crayon, picket fence, on top of these, dulling the harsh look of the black lines just a little bit, but I want that to be more like, well, on dry surface. So let's dry these a little bit. Nice, then just a little bit of the white on top. Let's see, this base I'm using has a kind of a wood grain thing going, so it seems that I need a smoother surface, but luckily I have the stamping block here, so I can use that. Just haphazardly going over most of just the black lines, dulling the contrast just a little bit to make it more subtle. And also I want the butterfly then to pop, so by dulling the contrast in the kind of embellishments or the background parts, then makes things easier. So as you can see, I'm not, again, being really precise and particular, just going over the lines. Now we have those done. Then let's move this aside and bring this one in. And then I need the butterfly from here. And also something to stamp it on. So this paper that I'm using, it's Fabriano Academia 160 grams. It's my go-to. I once bought like this huge pack of it, and I'm really liking how it behaves with mixed media, so I just continued using it. There's also a thicker version available. I think it's 200 grams, if 160 is too, kind of too, how do you say, thin for you. So let's take the crayons again. And then maybe I'll put this one here for a while so I know what I'm doing. I'm using, yeah, you can see, needed to check if I'm out of frame coloring. So I'm coloring the butterfly using the pencils. First with fire brick. And then this one is the picked raspberry. Using the two tones I used in the flowers, so everything is going to be kind of matchy-matchy, because that's the way I do it. But you could also do another color, like a yellow butterfly. So like that. Just a little bit of this color. Let's see if I have enough there. A little bit of water. Yes. Nice. Then I'm leaving the stamp in, but cleaning it. If you would be making a series, like several cards, then of course you don't have to clean it right now. You can do a couple of stamps probably with the same amount. Yeah, I'm thinking that's okay. And then let's compare the two. As you can see, there's quite a difference between this one and this one, but they are done the same way, even if it doesn't look like it. So then I actually used a wet brush to move the color around. And I'm guessing you already know why I left the stamp in place, because I'm then going to add the black lines on top using another ink. You could of course do this the other way around. First the black lines and then just use the pencils to color it, like with the flowers. But I kind of liked how I was able to manipulate the color, and also kind of the way the little details might pop out by first stamping it with the crayons, letting the color pool, and then putting the another layer. Of course you could just use the butterfly like this. You don't have to add the harsh black lines on top, but I thought with the flowers I'm using, it was kind of a, well, necessary to make it more crisp, more vibrant, or more contrast to it. But of course this one is perfectly okay looking as it is, so if you have a more delicate looking background, then this might be the way to go. So let me move this aside just a little bit, because I'm adding one more layer to that before stamping the details. Then let's see if we can speed things up by not first, come on, drawing the butterfly in this stage, but I'm just adding some white splashes. This is white acrylic paint. So and as it's now wet, the acrylic will bleed. So I kind of think that's a fun little look. Some white dots there, but they're not like teeny tiny specific ones, but more like a splodge in a way. And then let's dry it before stamping, because otherwise it won't be nice. Like so. I think it's dry, yeah. So then let's take the stamping tool again. Bye bye, Riikka. And let's ink the butterfly. This time with just black archival ink. Trying to be quite thorough with that. And then let's hope the paper will stay in put. A regal amount of pressure, so it would be good. Yay! I was afraid that I might need to do it again because I'm not a very good stamper, but stamping tool helps. So now this butterfly looks more like this. Now there's the white splashes more visible in this one than this one, but otherwise the same. A quick heat. Just because I'm then cutting it and trying to avoid smudges. So, and you can probably see one big difference between this one and the one that's in the card, and it's again the antennae. I'm hoping I'm saying correctly, because even though I like them, I'm always fearing that as they are such a thin little element that I break them while making the card. So I usually do this and just cut them off. You could use like the little, what are these cards, stamen, as to make those, or like wire, or just two thin pieces of paper in the end, or even like I don't know, they're not sewing needles but pins. So I usually just cut them off because I'm afraid that I will break them anyway and then tear the butterfly. So that's kind of how I make sure that in the end I'm not going to ruin the whole thing. There. Just a couple of more little details. And I say this every time, but I'll say it again. As you could see, my scissors were quite put and the embellishment was moving around. So that's my way to cut, or fussy cut, an embellishment. So now we have flowers, we have a butterfly. Then let's see how our background is doing. It's not totally dry, but it's dry enough. Then we need a couple of more painty touches, and then we can assemble. So let's make those. I'm using distress paint, but it could be any metallic paint. Just wanted to have a little touch of something shiny. So just a drop of paint, and I'm coloring kind of the body of the butterfly with it, and then using it for splashes to the background. So not heavy mixed media on the background in this one, just some splashes and inks and a dimensional pattern. The first ink layer has kind of two purposes. First, to use the ink that's kind of left over, so nothing goes to waste, but also kind of break the blank page, add a little something to make it more of my own and less looking like it came from a backpack. Just to add a little bit of interest there. Whoops, sorry. So then we need a piece of vellum. And for that I'm just tearing a piece. I'm thinking the torn edge looks a little bit more interesting than just a cut one. I'm not sure if this is a little bit too narrow, but let's make it work. And then a strip on top, kind of waste none, because this is actually the leftover strip from the background. It's teeny tiny bit wet still, but if I don't move this around, I'm thinking it's going to be okay. So let's put that one there, and then this one comes on top. Whoops. Just something I shouldn't be doing, moving it around. And then let's use stapler to put these two layers together. I'm thinking the stapler won't have enough reach before cutting the excess off, so let's do it like that on this side. Vellum can be tricky to adhere, so usually I tend to steer away from any kind of liquid adhesive for one, and then even double-sided tape. Usually I'll put it underneath something, because if you have used vellum, you know it looks a little bit different when there's the double-sided tape on top. So this one is going here, but let's arrange, make a floral arrangement first. I think this one goes this side, then this one. I really like the little bud there, so maybe that way. Let's try with the butterfly. We need maybe something here, but I like the green, so let's put that way. Yeah, I think that does the trick. So those are kind of leftovers. Then let's adhere these. I think it was something like that. And this one. Then for this one we are going to need some foam tape, which I forgot to take here, but luckily it's just one step away. Whoops, again, sorry. So some foam tape here, so getting it a little bit raised. And why I'm putting it a little bit dimensional, well, two reasons. First, I like dimensional things, and the second one is then I can add something, a little touches underneath. So some lace, we don't need much, and some of these. Just a couple. If they would be like black, for example, you could use them as the antennae, but I'm just using them as little decorations behind the butterfly. Okay, now the helicopter is leaving. Let's add some glue here. And then kind of tuck it in. So you need just a teeny tiny bit of lace. But by tucking it in like that, it makes it look a lot bigger. So you're left with a lot of lace to play with, but adding a little something for the make such a nice little different texture by adding some kind of cloth or ribbon or lace in there. So just a couple of pieces tucked underneath, and then these, I hope these are called stamen. I want that one there. So now that I don't have the butterfly really securely adhered to the base, it's with the foam tape, so it's a little bit raised, so there's room to put things underneath, and also the pieces are here, so I'm able to tuck these little things underneath without any fuzz. Then just come on, get there, like so. Teeny tiny touches. Then just final details. Let's first mount this on top of a card base. So for that, some double-sided tape. Like so. Thank you, Marina. Thank you, Heidi. Just let me know if there's any questions. Like I said, this is quite an easy card. Just a couple of different ways to use the pencils. Kind of my little plaything. Oops, no, that gets stuck there. More centered. And as you can see, I don't measure. I'm just eyeballing it. Here we go. Here you can see that the base is a little bit wet because the vellum is warping. Vellum doesn't like moisture. But then just the finishing touches. So sentiment, that's probably going to be the hardest part, finding, because there's so much to choose from. Trust your heart. Let's go with that. That one popped first there. And I'm putting it on this side because now there's the raised pattern. So it's easier for me to adhere the sticker to this side rather than the other one. And then a couple of rhinestone stickers to finish. I could use pearly ones, but I thought that these minty colored added a nice little detail, kind of echoing that green which is present in the background and also in these flowers. Oh, and I should have mentioned this one maybe before, but the way I chose the colors for the flowers were inspired by the background, kind of mimicking that same thing with my choices. Maybe that one there. Or, no, let's not overthink it. Let's put it there. Like so. Kiitos, Leena. And just like that, it's done. So first adding a little bit of color, or kind of breaking both the blank flowers and the background by using just inks, then coloring them with pencils and one crayon, stamping the butterfly with crayons and then the black on top, smudging the leaves and painting the flowers, so there's two different kind of textures with those two. Kiitos, Riikka. Thank you, Marina. So thank you so much for joining me tonight, or today, depending where you are. If you have any questions, just leave them to the chat. I'll go through them in a minute. I'll first clean up, and wishing you a nice summer. I'm thinking there's going to be 2 Facebook Lives on July, for one in English and one in Finnish, my native tongue, so I'll be seeing you then. But thank you so much, and have a great day. Bye!